Here's Jokic last night, 26, 11, 10, 7 turnovers and shot 50%, but 0 for 3 in the last 2 minutes. No, and 2 turnovers in the last 9 minutes. Does Denver need more from Jokic?
100%. And listen, fair, Joker is the best player in the world, and he has a history of being awesome in the playoffs. Even when his team was not, he typically was awesome. Yesterday was one of the rare occasions where if we're saying, hey, were the Denver role players good enough to win the game? The answer was yes. And their biggest problem was their best player didn't play like it. And that, listen, all of the greatest players ever have all had bad playoff games, but when heavy is the head that wears the best player alive crown, and it is fair to say he cost his team dearly yesterday. In the fourth quarter, he had the weird thing where he thought the shot clock was winding down. It wasn't. He throws the ball up. That game-tying attempt is one of the worst game-tying attempts you're ever going to see, and I think it is noteworthy that in game one, he had Russell Westbrook open in the corner and was like, you know what? I'm going to make the right play. He's wide open. That one, he had Aaron Gordon from his spot, who's a far better three-point shooter. Russ has been good wide open,
right,
but still,
Gordon's
good from the corner, and he took it himself. He just seemed out of sorts, and this is so, again, I picked Denver in 7 because of him, because I think he is that great, but every guy ever who's been the best player in the league, that when he has a brutal game that he is, and I do think brutal might be too strong.
I don't think it was brutal.
But yeah, but a game where certainly worse than the stat line suggests, at least to me, and I thought they needed more from him and he didn't have it.
Yeah, look, I don't kill him for that three-point attempt at the end. I think he thought, and he did kind of have to rush it and get it up. He clearly didn't get like a good look. He just kind of threw it up. But he's kind of like LeBron, and he is recognized as the best player in the world now, where if LeBron isn't his typical phenomenal self, you kind of look at it as a bad game. And that's what I think. Like Joker, I mean, I get it. Maybe you say he wasn't as good as the numbers, but 26-12 or 26-11 now, they've changed 11 rebounds, 10 assists. Now the turnovers killed him.
That's what I'm talking about.
That killed the whole team. They had 20 as a team. He had 7. And that and the missed free throws, they shot 63% from the line. They aren't a good free throw shooting team anyway, but 63%, nobody shoots it that poorly.
And remember, Brew, he missed 2 free throws at the end of game 1, and they got away with it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Okay, so let's talk about this. Because we're having kind of a few different conversations here at the same time. And listen, when you do, I do agree with, heavy is the head that wears the crown, that these players that are truly special that we're talking about, are you the best player in the league right now? Are you the best of all time, greatest of all time, most talented of all time, whatever words we want to use in any given moment? I think it's fair to have heightened criticism. But in this instance right here, I think we're having the wrong conversation, because the reality is that basketball, you need more support. I've been getting in these fights. And I'm a big supporter of Jokic, but I got in a lot of back and forth debates about, but for a while, everybody was kind of debating between Embiid and Jokic and all of that. And, Jokic is a better player, but they always tried to downplay what Embiid could do. And they always said, oh, Embiid could never make it to the finals, et cetera, et cetera. And I always criticize, Embiid has had, no help. He truly has not had support. He had Jimmy Butler for a half a season, and Jimmy Butler, averaged 19 points in the one series throughout that playoffs, and against the Raptors and whatnot. And you're talking about having Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons, obviously his career just completely, absolutely tanked. And Tobias Harris, he just never really had any true support. He didn't have a player like a Jamal Murray who goes off in a fourth quarter and puts up 30 plus points or whatever, etc., etc. And also weird, bad coaching. And now this is kind of what Jokic is experiencing right now, is that, you say, oh, are the role players around him good enough? And it's like, they are and they aren't necessarily. Because Jamal Murray has 4 turnovers, but only 6 assists. That you can't have. Like I understand. Jokic had a fair amount of turnovers, right? And you kind of want to remove them. A couple of them were just really kind of bad, but you have kind of Kawhi kind of just waiting and baiting in that moment. But Jokic is always trying to get everyone involved. So you're gonna have some of these games where the turnovers come. Like it's just the reality, okay? But for him to have 7 turnovers, that's one thing. But to then have some of these other guys start to pile on the turnovers, that's not good enough. Jokic has the embedded excuse because he's getting everyone involved. Like that is his role. That is what he does. It becomes so much less acceptable for someone to have 1 assist and 3 turnovers. 2 assists, 2 turnovers. Like it just becomes muddled and significantly messier because when you handle the ball a lot, you're always going to have some turnovers. You're always going to turn the ball over to a degree. LeBron James is obviously one of the best passers in the history of the NBA, and he's like top 2, top 3, whatever it is, in turnovers or even turnovers per game. So I don't want to be so hyper focused on that and just be like, oh, Jokic turned the ball over and that's why they lost. Because that's not really the whole story. Can we put a circle around that and make that argument? You can, but when you watch that game, that's not necessarily the case. Gordon missing a wide open dunk and hitting the back of the rim and having it bounce out of bounds. That's partly why you didn't win. Missing some of the free throws, which Jokic, has some of that to blame. He went 6 for 10 from the line. That's part of the blame. Like it's tough. It's a tougher situation, which is why this game especially, I don't feel as though looking at the box score actually really helps you draw the conclusion. This is one of those games that like the box score and how the game unfolded is definitely kind of mismatched a bit. The reality is that you talk about Jokic and say like he didn't play good enough, but through so many stretches of that game, it felt like, it was just so much on the shoulders of Jokic, and he can only do so much, especially in some of these really fast-paced back and forth games. That is where a Jamal Murray needs to step up more. That is where he needs to get to the line more and get more than just 1 free throw, which I think was the technical. Right? Like that is something where he needs to get to the line more. That is where he needs to be able to get everyone to kind of catch a breather. That is where he's going to have to go off and put up 30 and not just, 23. Like these little things matter. Him having 4 turnovers. He's not in a position that could have 4 turnovers in that moment. It's just not. So, I mean, seriously. Think about how much Kawhi Leonard handled the ball. He turned the ball over only once. Only once. Like that's what you're gonna need. So yeah, we can look at the box score and just be like, well, hey, this was pretty good production. Gordon got 14 and Porter got 15 and Murray put up 23 and you got 14 from Westbrook. Like the rest is up for Jokic to fill in the blanks. And it's like, yes and no. Yes and no. It's again, you have to see how the game unfolds. And I do think that it's a little bit harder for Jokic to take over the game offensively in the traditional sense that we talk about that type of thing because of his size, because of his level of athleticism. It's just different. He is very much reliant on the people around him to help truly maximize his greatness because that is his superpower, Jokic in that regard, is being able to work with everyone around him and elevate everyone around him. But it does make him a little bit more team dependent. All big men are, quite frankly. I mean, they just really are. But especially Jokic's style of play more than anything, because he obviously doesn't play like a stereotypical traditional big man. So I don't watch that game and say like Jokic is to blame. Again, was he flawless? Absolutely not. Did he make some mistakes? Absolutely. But it's just kind of weird because like LeBron, essentially had no impact in the game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I don't remember anyone blaming LeBron for that loss. Like, yeah, did they talk about him? Did they offer some criticism? Sure. But, like, the conclusion wasn't LeBron is why they lost. The conclusion for this game can't be Jokic is why they lost. I reject that conclusion. And again, I'm consistent. I rejected that conclusion in years past for people that wanted to blame Embiid for not getting, far enough or winning at a high enough rate in the playoffs, because it's kind of just like, you need other players to step up. And it's not just a matter of points. It's in key moments. It's very hard to win games when Gordon, he can put up 14 and he can go 3 for 3 from the line and shoot 1 for 3, get some rebounds. Like, that's all great. So I'm not saying like Aaron Gordon played bad or poorly, but they got to come up in those very specific, narrow moments, like getting that dunk. Compared to, what happened with the Timberwolves when the game started to get maybe slightly closer or feel like it was going to get more compact for the Timberwolves against the Lakers. It's like, what happened? You had key players knock down a 3. Right? Naz Reid knocking down a crucial 3 that now gets it back up to 10 rather than now down to 7. Like, it's those little moments that really matter, not just the bottom line, the box score, 14, 15, 26 points, 5 points. Like, just not how basketball unfolds, especially in the playoffs, because something like Gordon just getting that dunk changes everything. Like, that's how little and narrow basketball can get in the playoffs. It ends up changing everything. And because again, we can play this game. Oh, well, if Jokic hits a few more free throws, well, then the game is tied, right? Like, you can always kind of do that with the box score, right? If Michael Porter Jr. makes one more shot and Jamal Murray makes one more shot, well, then there you go. It's 106 to 105. Denver Nuggets win. Like, basketball is the ultimate because there's so many shots taken, so many free throws taken, so many moments, so many like bottom line scores. They shoot, what is this? They shot 32 threes alone, 79 field goals total. It's like that alone is so many. So you can always kind of just pick and choose in a box score like that, which, makes it unhelpful from my viewpoint. So, but those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jokic being the main the main person to blame for why the Nuggets came up short? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.